Welcome to our Court Helicopter Explainer, where we are dealing with the glossary, the terms, the terminologies, the jargon, the vocabularies that you hear in court every other time. What do they mean? We are following our alphabetical order, and today we are looking at from letter L. What are the terminologies, legal jargons, that start with the letter L? The first one is laches. Laches means that somebody failed to act diligently. Somebody failed to be alert. Because of not being alert, they forgot to do what they were supposed to do within time. For example, you have a right to assert. That right, you keep quiet, you don't assert that right. That right of yours will be overtaken by events. The other person will come and say, the court gave you this order to evict this person, and this person has stayed after the court gave the order for 20 years. When you come to effect that order, you'll be told that that is a principle of laches. You are time bound. You had the time to do, you failed to do that. Don't walk here, now cry. It is too late and you cannot assert your right. Number two is the legal age. When we talk about the legal age, in Kenya, it is 18 years. The legal age under the Constitution in Article 260 defines anybody who is below 18 years and below as a child. What does that mean? A child or somebody who is below the age cannot enter into a contract. Two, a child who is below 16 years cannot give a consent for sex. So you cannot have sex with a child who is 18 years, who is below 18 years, and you say she consented, she agreed. There is no consent a child who is below 18 years can give. Third, a child who is underage cannot enter into any lawful transaction. Any lawful transaction must be carried by a person who is above age, and that is what we say the legal age. Third is legal aid. When you talk about legal aid, it is different from advocates representing you. For example, when you go to look for an advocate, you pay fees, and lawyers' fees or advocates' fees, I said, are very, very expensive. But there are entities that provide legal aid. Legal aid, for example, the Law Society of Kenya provides for legal aid. Two, advocates take up matters for free. They provide legal aid, what is called pro bono. Third, there are civil society groups that represent people for free. Those are what you call legal aid, coming to the aid of somebody who has a legal issue but cannot afford. Those are the people we call legal aiders or legal aid. Then we have liability. Liability has 5 meanings. The word liability has 5 meanings. Number 1 is an obligation to do. If you are obligated to do that, that is your liability. You must do that what you are liable to do. Number 2, the other meaning is to eventually do. You eventually do. That is what you call liability. The third and most common one is to refrain from doing something. You are told, don't do this thing. That is what you call liability. To refrain, to stop, to be told don't do and you don't do. The fourth one is money owed. This is what most Kenyans think about. Do you owe somebody 50 shillings? Have you borrowed somebody 2 shillings? Have you written a text to Omari or to Cyrus or to anybody and asked that what you owe? Una deni ya mtu. That is liability. Do you have Fuliza? Do you have Mkopa? All those are liabilities. The fifth one is to be held liable for what you did. For example, you drive your boda carelessly and knock somebody down. You'll be held liable. 2, you fight somebody and remove his teeth or her, you uproot her hairstyle. That you are going to be held liable for that. So whenever the court finds that you are guilty and you are convicted, you are liable for that offense. So much of the issues in court is to determine, are you liable when you are charged or you are not liable? When you are liable, you are convicted. When you are not liable, you are acquitted. Therefore, the terminology liability is that big, and that is why only Court Helicopter brings to you the different meanings of the word liability. Then we have what is called lien. Lien. L-I-E-N. What does this mean? Somebody who has put a claim of a certain property. That person is called that person exercises a lien. It says a claim upon the property of another as security for some debt. You take your logbook to a Shylock. You take your watch to a Shylock to give you some money. You go to a bar. Have you gone to a bar, drank beer, and you cannot afford to pay that beer? Then you leave your watch there, you leave your phone there. That person keeps your phone as lien. The beer you took and you could not pay, instead of you kuambiwa wash dishes, chonga viazi, you leave your property, your belt, your shoe, your kofia, that the owner of the bar keeps it as lien. So this is a property somebody keeps as security because you owe that person. A litigant, a very common terminology all over. Everybody is hearing litigants, litigants, litigants. A litigant is the person who is in court arguing their case. Litigants can be people who have sued. When you sue, you go to court, you are called a litigant. The person you have sued, although they are called defendants and respondents, they are also called litigants. So in court, all the people who are litigating, who are arguing against somebody or defending themselves, they are called litigants. That one marks the end of letter L. Let us move to letter M. Letter M starts with the word maintenance. Maintenance is for especially children. You have got to provide for their school fees. You have got to provide for their food. Previously, you could provide for your wife in her divorce proceedings in a matter called alimony. Nowadays, the law, as Court Helicopter put it to you, there is no longer anything called alimony because everybody is equal, and if it's about property of marriage, you go to division or matrimonial property. Mistrial. When do we say This is a mistrial. According to what is mistrial, is that the proceedings, when these matters were proceeding in court, there were procedures that were not followed. Proper procedures during the trial were not followed. Either technicalities were forgotten to be done, and somebody goes to the High Court and say, I appeared before a magistrate's court, but I was never given time to cross-examine. I appeared before a magistrate's court and my lawyer was barred from asking questions. That the judge will find that is a mistrial. You go back, you're not acquitted, the judge will say, go to another court for another trial, for a fair trial. Article 49 and Article 50 of the Constitution mandates that a trial must be fair. It must be seen to be fair, and it must be fair. Anything that is not fair, that is a mistrial. That one. Then we have the word moot. You hear lawyers say, please give me conservatory orders. If I don't get these conservatory orders, my application, my petition, my application before the judge will be moot. What does that mean? This means when you go to court, for example, you want the matatus. I have represented the matatus. An order has come for them to vacate the stages. Then we rush to court and tell the judge, if you do not grant us this conservatory order, they will be evicted tomorrow. So that application becomes moot. It becomes academic. So it has been overtaken by events. So moot means that act within the time to save the subject matter that was in court, or else it will be an academic issue. The last terminology is what you call emotion. Emotion is an oral or written papers that you take to court. And the motion contains the prayers that you are seeking for. So there are very many types of papers to be filed in court. There is originating summons, there are originating motions, there are very many motions that go to court. Remember, the governors are removed from office by an impeachment motion. Remember, in Parliament, members of Parliament put motions, discuss motions. So that is the wider perspective, and that originates from the judiciary. That marks the end of the episode where we have looked at letter L and letter M of the jargon of court. See you in the next episode when we shall start with the letter N. Thank you, Wakili Danstan Omari.